Welcome back to the VBACpodcast. I'm Jamie, and I am so excited to be back with y'all this week. I know I missed a couple episodes because I was on vacation with my family, and it was a great trip, but I am so excited to be back here with y'all. So, today I want to talk to you about something I've been seeing come up a lot on social media that I think we talk about a lot, but we can never talk about too much. And that is the fear of uterine rupture and how you overcome it. In this episode, we are going to dive into this a little deeper, so stay tuned. Welcome back to this week's episode. We are going to talk today on the VBAC podcast about fear of uterine rupture and how to manage that fear. More importantly, I'm going to address a question that I see come up a lot, and I've seen different people post this question and talk about it and different versions of it, but some version of, I almost just want to schedule a C-section because I'm so afraid of uterine rupture. Is that wrong of me? Or is it selfish of me to continue planning a VBAC when I heard about this uterine rupture story and now that's all I can think about? I really, really, really think this is an important conversation to have because we all have these thoughts. All of us. If uterine rupture is an increased risk for you, that's your number one concern. That's your doctor or your midwife's number one concern. That's why we have such controversy about VBAC, because people are afraid of uterine rupture. And we talk a lot about the statistics of uterine rupture and how it's extremely rare. And even when it does happen, it's extremely rare for it to be catastrophic. That being said, that doesn't minimize the reality of the trauma that comes with a rupture. And when we see people share their uterine rupture story on social media, it feels much more real and close to home, as it should, because that is their experience and it was very real for them. But I think it's important to remember that when you are focusing on a specific community, you're going to be bombarded with certain things. You're going to find what you look for. If you're looking for uterine rupture stories, you're going to find them. If you're looking for VBAC success stories, you're going to find them. Another person's birth story does not reflect anything about what your experience will be like. Nothing. It's important to listen and hear other birth stories. It's important to learn from women's birth stories. It's important to learn from their experiences. That is what womanly wisdom is all about. However, I do have a concern when we start making our decisions based off of fears driven by other people's stories. So what I think is really important is to learn how to acknowledge our fears, address our fears, confront them, find a way to work through them, and then make sure that our fears are not controlling our decision making. And that sounds so much easier said than done. So I actually had posted in a Facebook group something along those lines of like, yeah, this fear is totally normal, but we have to make sure that we're not allowing fear to control ourselves. It's important that we listen to intuition over fear. And the response that I got was pretty typical, which is like, not everybody feels a strong intuition. Not everybody knows how to differentiate between intuition and fear. And the safest thing to do is probably just have a repeat C-section. And I agree that it's really hard to differentiate between fear and intuition. It can be really hard to differentiate on your own. This is why working with a VBAC specialized doula is so important. Somebody who has been there, understands the thought process that you're going through, and then can help you kind of work through those fears by looking at different perspectives. There are so many reasons that you don't need to fear uterine rupture. But my biggest pushback to that kind of response is, why are you so afraid of uterine rupture, but not afraid of the risks that come with a cesarean? We know the risks that come with a cesarean are higher than the risks that come with TOLAC. We know the risks that come with a planned C-section are higher than a successful VBAC. I mean, so why does the fear of uterine rupture outweigh the fear of C-section complications, which are also extremely real? The answer to that is perception. It is perception of control. There is a perception that your doctor somehow has control over a cesarean, somehow has more control over a cesarean, and maybe in some aspects they do, but in many aspects they don't, and that is why there are higher risks with a C-section, because there is so much that they cannot control. Birth is not designed to be controlled. Whether that's surgical birth, whether that's vaginal birth, birth is not designed to be controlled. And that's really hard for us. I'm a control freak. I get it. That's really, really hard. So what I'm going to challenge you to do is to practice the 3 pillars of confidence as you prepare for your VBAC. Womanly wisdom. Listen to the stories of other women, but do not allow fear to control you. Learn how to listen to your intuition. Self-advocacy. Learn the truth, learn the facts, and learn how to communicate your desires. Number 3 is surrender, and that is controlling what you can and releasing the rest, accepting that you cannot control everything. Making your decisions from a place of faith instead of fear. When you can learn those 3 pillars of confidence, you can learn how to have a positive birth experience, even if your VBAC doesn't go exactly the way you planned. If you are pregnant and you had a C-section and you're thinking of a VBAC and you really want this VBAC and you just don't know if that's really what's right for you. You don't know if you have what it takes, it's what you really want, but for some reason you're not confident in the decision. You're in good company. You are not alone. There are many women out there who feel the same way you feel right now. And many of them are going to go on and have a successful VBAC. Some of them will attempt their VBAC and end up with a C-section for one reason or another. And some of them will plan a repeat C-section without really wanting that and forever silently regret that decision. Which category do you want to be in? Do you want to regret your decisions, or do you want to know that you are making the best decision you can with the information that you have and leaving the rest up to God? If you have decided that you would like to make confident decisions, be confident about your birth, and not allow fear to control you, I have a free Facebook group that you can join. If you go into the show notes, there's a link. You can join the free Facebook group for VBAC. I have a free Combating Fear During VBAC class where we actually talk a little bit about uterine rupture, where you can go and just sign up for that class. It's a 30-minute class, quick and easy, and it has reframed the fears of so many women who have gone on to have successful VBACs. And if you need to work one-to-one with somebody to work through your fears, to identify them, if you might not even understand your fears, and if you don't understand where your fear is coming from, you can't correct it, you can't face it, you cannot shut it down. So if you need to work more privately with someone who feels safe to address these fears and work on moving past them and creating a plan for confidence and success, whatever that means to you, I am available to work one-to-one with 3 moms this month. And if you are interested in that, I would love for you to send me an email at jamiezaki@littlebearlactation.com, or you can go to littlebearlactation.com/links and connect with me there. But I'm here to help you have the birth you're dreaming of. Are you ready to take control of what you can? See you next week, Mama Bear.